Hello, Free Leaguers. Welcome to this special session where we're going to introduce you to all the wonderful core products for Twilight 2000. Twilight 2000 is going to the latest edition that Free League Publishing is going to be releasing. Hits retail and has a release date of November 16th. So we thought this would be a great video for you to see all the products that are going to be available on release. And if you're a retailer, you can kind of see what products we have to offer, and hopefully you can decide whether or not this is a good fit for your store. We hope it is. And before we begin, I just want to say I want to acknowledge the fact that tomorrow is Veterans Day here in the States, and we want to thank everyone that served here in the military and in the armed services. Thank you so much for your service, for your time, and if you're a veteran, please let us know in the comments if you're watching this after the fact. We'd love to thank you for your service, and thank you for being a part of our Free League community. Of course, this session would not be complete with one of the person that had a large part of this product being released, and that, of course, is the one and only Tomas Härenstam. Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited. This is a big day for Free League coming up here on the 16th. This is a big release. Of course, we know that Kickstarter backers, there's still some that haven't received these, but it is on the way.
Yes. Yeah, I'm joining you from my house. That's why it's a bit messy and a bit, so I hope this will work. If not, sorry beforehand.
Thomas, if that's messy, my wife would love to have a messy house. Let's just say that.
Right.
Oh man.
Like you mentioned, the 16th is the official release day. That is on Tuesday, but we are fully aware that all the backers don't still yet have the game, but it's on its way for everybody. So just hang in there, and it'll come. So it's, even though the official release day is Tuesday, it will probably not be in stores everywhere on that particular day. It usually takes a little bit longer, but
sure.
Just so you know.
Can you tell if there are retailers watching this session? Can you tell the retailers what distributors that they can order this product through?
If you're in North America, we primarily work with the Impressions, the consolidator, and they work with a range of distributors, a bunch of them really. So it's basically all of them, I guess. So whatever distributor you work with, they should be able to get the game from the Impressions. I mean, they work with ACD and GTS and Alliance and all of them basically. And in Europe, we ship directly to distributors. So over here we work with Asmodee UK and Burst Spiel in Germany and a bunch of others.
Excellent.
And we also have a retailer and a distributor newsletter, so you can sign up for that. You can just contact us at sales@frialigan.se, and then from there we'll make sure you get all that information you need as a retailer.
Excellent. So Thomas, let's talk a little bit. You were a major force behind this product line, and for Free League to bring this license into our house to put out. You want to talk a little bit about that? I know we've talked about it a little bit before, but this is a game that you actually played growing up quite a bit.
Yeah, it was one of those games that I really loved early on. I mean, that was the first edition, obviously. I think me and my brother got it. Probably it would have been, I got my first RPG in '85. I probably got Twilight 2000 that same year, possibly '86, but yeah, around there. And we played it some, not that much, because we played a bunch of different games, and Twilight 2000 was kind of complicated for us. I was like 11 at the time and he was 14, but we played it for a bit. But I read it. I ended up reading a lot more than playing, unfortunately, but I collected all of the books. I got the second edition that came out a couple of years later. I played that a bit, and it was one of those games that had a special place. I thought it was a super cool setting and just something that I really enjoyed. So yeah, that was basically we started getting into it again. Now, I mean, recently we just started playing it a couple of years ago, first edition, for basically for fun, just to rediscover that game that we had. Several of us had played a lot back then, and just figured that it'd be nice to rediscover the game, and that kind of led to us inquiring about the current state of the license, and and that kind of took off from there, I guess.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Well, I will say that you know, the response that since we've put out the PDF for backers, and the folks that have gotten the physical copies have been very, very positive. There was already a very large existing community that plays this game, and they've seemed to be really they seem to really enjoy this new version. So that's really, really great to see. And I think, you know, I think that is something that kind of gets, like, we don't give enough credit for that, because a lot of times, you know, when you have an existing, you know, community and folks, you know, you have to live up to that standard and those expectations, and
Always,
it's hard.
it's always a tricky situation to put out a new version of a beloved game.
Right. Oh, I think Thomas is froze up a little bit. Let's take a look and see what we have for questions. Simo asks, do the pre-orders non-Kickstarter start shipping on the 16th of Europe in Europe? We'll ask that here once Thomas gets back here. Garrett says hello and thanks for this. Thank you, Garrett. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's see here. What else? I do have a setup. We're going to take a look at all the products that are coming from that will be out at launch. There's basically 4 products for this line. There's the core box set. There's the referee's screen. There is a card deck and dice. There's a dice pack as well. And we'll have Thomas back on here. For those of you that have gotten your products that for Kickstarter backers, let me know in the comments if you've got it, what your initial thoughts are. I think that it's an extremely heavy product, which I will show. I actually brought out a scale to show folks how heavy this box set is. It kind of took me off guard, because we've done box sets in the past, and you know, they have a fair amount of content in them, but this one especially, I picked it up and I was like, oh my word, this is a lot heavier than I thought it was, yeah, let's. I can try to show that off if folks are. We lost Thomas for a little bit. Thomas did warn me that his internet might go in and out. So we'll see if he can join us here in a moment. Let's get to an overhead cam. If anybody would like to see, let's see here. Alex says, I got a package, but the name on the invoice was not the same as my address name, so not heard back on what to do with it. Oh no. Oh no. Let's see here. Latest on the Blood March Pledge Manager. Yes, that is going out very soon. Actually, they just did a Kickstarter update that said that the Pledge Manager was ready, and you should be getting a notification here here soon. Thomas!
Hello.
Hello. That's all right.
Yeah. Sorry, the internet just died here.
That's all right. That happens. That happens. That's the joy of the times that we're living in right now.
Yeah.
Byron asks, I've only recently heard of this by watching the Glass Cannon playthrough. When can I get it locally in the US? Well, the release date is the 16th of this month. So it should be stores can order it.
It
and
should
have it for
start
release
showing up in stores, I mean, pretty soon after that date. So soon you should be able to find it in stores also. And it's also available in our web shop. We are now starting to also ship locally in the US, even from our web shop. So it should also be fairly quick affair to get it from there within a week or so.
Simo asks, do the pre-orders, the non-Kickstarter pre-orders, start shipping on the 16th in Europe?
Around then, yeah. It's basically they should go out soon. So I'm not sure of the exact date, but they should definitely start going out around that date or even before then. So very soon.
Fenhorn has a question about other products that we might have after release. Will there be more cards, tokens, maps besides just the expansion books? But that's probably, is that something that we have in the works, or do we know yet what our product line is going to look like after this initial push?
Yeah, we're already we are hard at work on the first expansions for the game. The first one is most likely going to be called Urban Operations, and it's basically a city focused on cities, playing in cities. We're planning a range of modules that will kind of have a themed content. They will not be linear stories. They will be more like toolboxes, more tools to create the sandbox campaign. But the first one is going to be focused on cities, kind of similar to Free City of Krakow. That was the first module for the first edition, but it's this one, our version of that will be less geographically specific, so you can use it to play in any city, basically. So that's already in the works. We're doing art for it now. The writing is done, and Chris Lights, who does most of the writing for the modules, he's already working on the second one, which
nice
will be based on we're focused on naval stuff. So it's called Hostile Waters currently. We'll see if that stays. So that's as the name indicates, it'll have like resources for playing like on rivers or in lakes or oceans, and it just focused on all of that. Kind of our version of the old classic first edition module Pirates of the Vistula, which was the second one to come out for first edition. So as you can see, we're kind of following that same format, but we're keeping them a little bit more general, so you can use them wherever you have chosen to place your campaign.
I like that. Giles asks, what about shipping in Canada? Do we know any of the status of that?
Yeah, I mean, shipping to Canada for Kickstarter backers, they are being shipped from the US, so it should be fairly quick affair. It's from the US warehouse. It's possible that they have a partner warehouse in Canada that they actually ship to and then out from there. I'm not 100% sure about that, to be honest. But yeah, it's being shipped locally in North America. Yeah.
Excellent. I'm going to switch over to an overhead shot here in a second. Tomas, do you want to talk a little bit about since this is like, something that you've worked on quite a bit, does it ever get like, do you ever not get excited about, like, it must be some sort of like there must be some sort of satisfaction like when you've been working on a project and to finally have it get released? Like,
oh yeah,
it used to like have releases, and I mentioned this in the past. Like, it used to be releases where every few months or like once a quarter or something. But now we're having releases like almost every month or so. Do you still have the same excitement about releases?
Pretty much, yeah. It's always an exciting time to see something completed, and it's great to have also. I mean, just get the final physical game. I think this one particularly, it really works. It's very much a physical game, and it's not just the book. It's all of the other components which are a key part of this. All the maps, the handouts, the counters, all of that. And I think to really get what this game is about, I think you need the physical box. You can play it online, you can play it with PDFs, that's fine. But I think to get the full feel of it and to pretty much get what we're doing, what our goal was with this project, I think you should have a feel and have a look at that physical box set, because that's always a great feeling to see that finally coming together and finally getting into the hands of backers.
Well, one thing that I mentioned while you had cut out for just a moment is the sheer, like, the heft of this box set.
Yeah, I know.
This is a heavy box set.
I know you could hurt someone with that thing.
I actually brought a scale to because I'm like, it's easy to just tell folks that it's really heavy. Let's actually get a weight on this box set to see how
that.
It's almost 5. It's like what, 4.5 pounds.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
crazy.
Big. Yeah, we never quite planned that. So when the first time I got it, I was like, "My God, this is a heavy box." But that happens.
The box itself is really nice quality. Like it's some great illustration. I love the illustration of everything that's in the box right there.
Hmm.
And then you get a nice little list of items there, and so folks want to pick it up and take a look at it on the shelf. They can kind of see what's in this box. The box itself is, it's not a flimsy box by any means. It's nice and sturdy and durable. It's going to last you for quite some time. But yeah, this is crazy. There's a ton of stuff in here.
Yes.
You've got the game catalog, which is just kind of shows you all the stuff that all the stuff that we have. Don't eat that, folks. That's not a good thing to do. Dice.
Yes.
So there are 15 dice in here, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah, that's crazy. Do you want to tell folks a little bit about what each of these dice are?
Sure.
Like this is a hit location dice, I'm guessing.
It is. That's exactly what that is. So that's and this game, I mean, compared to our other games, it still uses a version of the Year Zero engine, which we use in most of our other games. But this version is a bit different, and it's because the other versions they usually use D6 dice pools for most rolls. Here we have a different system that for the basic roll uses 2 dice, but they can be of different formats. You basically have 1 die for your attribute and another die for your skill, and the better your score is, the better die you get. So the D12 is the best one and the D6 is the worst one. So basically that we condensed the dice system a little bit to get fewer dice, and the reason for that is twofold, I guess. The main reason is that in addition to those 2 basic dice, the base dice that you roll, you also get a bunch of ammo dice and those are the ones you see, the kind of orange looking dice there on the side. So basically when you spend ammo when you use for firearms in the game, you add ammo dice, so you will get that D6 dice pool anyway used for the ammo dice, and we just felt that it would just be too many dice in the end to have that in addition to a big pool of D6s for the attributes and skills. So we kind of condensed it down a bit. So basically that's what those other dice, the D6s, the orange ones, are for ammunition. So the higher the rate of fire, the more ammo dice you can use, and that will increase the effect of your roll basically. So that's very, very briefly how that works.
Well, that's very cool. That's awesome. Now, if folks, there is a dice pack that stores and that folks can purchase as well. These are just individual. It's like you've got some more D6s and one of the polyhedral dice.
You can get by fine with the dice that are included in the core set, but of course you can always use more dice, right? So
I mean, I know I can.
Yes.
So you got a great big stack of cards here. You got initiative and encounter cards.
Yes, it's kind of, I mean, that's one of the things that the initiative cards is something we use in some other games as well. It's numbered 1 to 10, so basically that's for determining initiative, and it's got that's a nice thing to use cards for initiative instead of rolling dice, is that you can never roll, since you can never have the same card, you never roll the same. So it's an easy way to kind of, and it also helps to keep track of initiative in combat. So that's why we use that. And then you have the encounter cards, and that's, in a way, goes back to the in the first edition, you could use a normal card deck to determine NPC motivations and personalities. So we kind of went with that concept. So this is actually, as you can see there, a normal card deck as well, with 52 cards, and you have that, your spades and hearts and all of that. So you can actually play cards with those cards, but they also have each fairly fleshed out encounter. So that's part of the travel rules and the encounter rules. You can use those cards to generate encounters for the players as they travel on the big travel map. So that's easy way to generate exciting encounters and content for the game. This whole game is basically designed to run. If you want to, you can almost play it with no prep for the GM, pretty much. I mean, you can definitely prepare, but using the encounter deck and the travel rules, it really kind of runs itself.
Sure.
So that's definitely one way to run it. You can basically just let the system create content and let the players react to that, and that will just be the game. Then, of course, if you want to create longer arcs and do more of that stuff, you definitely can. But so that's basically what the encounter deck is for.
Excellent. Oh my word! Look at all this stuff here. A couple, some secret files here, Tomas.
Yeah. Those are handouts. The one is because the game has 2 core settings. You can place it in any country you like, but it has 2 like officially more described core settings. One is Poland, which was the setting for 1st and 2nd edition, so that's kind of felt like we needed to use that. And the other one is Sweden, and that's because we thought it would be a bit of fun since we are from Sweden, and we felt that it would just only be fair to have our own country be occupied by the Soviets as well. So let's just add that as a setting, and it's. So we have, and those handouts, one is for the Polish setting and one is for the Swedish one, and basically they are military reports that are written by our military consultant Chris Keeling. He did a great job on all things military in the game, and he wrote those reports in a proper manner, so they are fully done the right way, and you can use them to kick off the campaign, because they kind of describe the situation at the start of the game, where basically the premise of the game is that you're most likely part of a military unit that has been disbanded, and from the start of the game, the players are basically on their own. And this military intelligence report sets the scene for the game and the start of the game.
Excellent. Now, one of the things that we had preview copies of this box set at Origins and at Gen Con, and the one thing that kept on getting commented on is the maps that were included in this box set.
Yeah.
There's just so many different maps, and these are double-sided.
That one, the ones that are a bit bigger, and like you can see there, that folds, there are 2 of those, so a total of 4 maps. Those are for specific scenario locations or scenario sites. The scenario site is a format that we use. It's kind of like an adventure, but it's not linear. It's more of a location that has events and characters and stuff going on. And those maps are described for such scenario sites, and those are all described in the book as well. So that goes with that. And there you have the big travel map. So that basically it's a hex crawl type of style. So you can see there, and then you have Poland on one side and a part of Sweden on the other, and you travel hex by hex using the travel rules, and that's what the big map is for. So that's really the core of the game, is that you can really go anywhere. I mean, it's a really truly a sandbox experience. So it's the players have lots of freedom to go where they want to do. That's a big part of this game.
The one thing that I really love about our box set maps is that the paper of
they're nice
is super it's super thick.
Yeah,
that's just me as a player. I love using maps, and being able to use them more than just a few times is always helpful. And then these look like some NPC.
They're your character sheets.
Character sheets.
Yes. So there's some empty character sheets to use. You can of course download them if you want, but we figured we should add a few
nice
ones to just use right off. Here you have the next type of map. As you can see, those are modular, we call them battle maps, terrain maps, because the combat system, you don't need to use the map if you or run it on a map, but it's kind of designed to do that on a hex map. And those maps, there are 8 of them, and they're double-sided. And you can basically combine them in different ways, because you can put 2 together, or 3 or 4, and they're designed so you can put them side by side, and they will generate unique terrain for your for battles in the game. Most of them are countryside, but you also have a few that have more of a city or towns. So basically, the GM can use those maps, and whenever a conflict erupts, you can pull out 2 or 3 of those, put them together on the table in different ways, and you have a battle map ready to go.
That's super, super cool. And then
there you have the counters. They're kind of a classic wargame style counters that you use for personnel, combatants, for vehicles. Those with the shield are for cover. The one with the target, I think, are for overwatch fire. Then you have counters for smoke. You have counters for suppression. Those with that downward arrow for fire, and I think those are for vehicle combat, and then for chemical weapons and minefields. So yeah, basically you use those on the battle maps.
And they're double-sided as well. And the one thing I will tell you that just from the board game side of me, these pop out very, very nicely. Like there's nothing worse than getting a punch board and having it like rip.
Yeah, when it rips and breaks.
I
hate that.
I hate that. But these just pop out so nice. It's like it's really satisfying.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a totally different podcast or show.
Yeah,
we won't get into that. But that's nice. Yeah, I'm really excited about those. And then this is what I think everybody was looking for. The referee's manual. This is
the GM is called a referee in this game. So that's for the referee. It's got a timeline, the kind of the backstory of the game. Since this is alternate history, this is like an alternate 1990s, because our since it takes place in the year 2000, this is an alternate 1990s. Then you have the 2 settings, like you saw, Poland and Sweden in some detail. It's not obviously not everything in the country described. It's just it's a brief overview, enough to play there. And then you have some information about the rest of the world. This is a general referee chapter with tips and advice on how to run the game. Then there's encounters. This is basically the encounter deck that we saw earlier.
Okay.
It describes how to use it, and also each and every of those encounters is fleshed out a bit more in detail. Those are described there. So there's 52 unique encounters. Then you have factions and forces. That's each setting has some unique factions and forces, and some are generic that can be used anywhere. And basically, because on top of the generic encounters, which are kind of they're the same anywhere, you can use them anywhere, but they all hook into, like, some encounter can say like U.S. military or marauder or something like that, and then you have these factions. You have specific marauder groups or U.S. military factions or intelligence factions like the CIA and the KGB and things, and they are described in more detail there. And now you get to the scenario sites. Those are the ones that we saw maps for earlier. So there are 4 scenario sites described here, and they are, like I mentioned, kind of like your adventures, only they are not linear. They're more like locations with NPCs, events, stuff going on, and each is based around a location. And the idea is that these can be placed anywhere. It's not described in the book where in the world these places are. Basically, you can place them where you want. So you can, wherever the players want to go, the GM will have stuff to place in their way and create interesting locations around them. So, and then you have some appendices in the end. I saw the solo rules come by there. Did we have a
probably?
solo?
Oh yeah, there we go. Sorry.
Yeah, so you can play this game solo using something called an oracle, which is a common way to generate content and resolve situations when you play solo. This game works pretty well solo because the travel rules and are kind of will generate content for you as you play. And then conversion rules, if you want to convert or earlier editions of the game, 1st and 2nd edition, you can use these conversion rules to convert them to this edition. So if you have a bunch of old stuff for the early editions, you can definitely use those for this one as well, using these conversion rules.
That's terrific. That's terrific. And then we've got some designer notes.
Yeah, that's basically, you know, our thoughts on some of the stuff we talked about here, and just how our approach to this game. So
nice. And then the biggest part of this, I think this is the heaviest item, is the player's manual. This is even bigger than the referee's manual.
Yep. So basically, the player's manual has basically all of the rules of the game. I mean, there is a general introduction, and then you have a chapter on creating your character. There are two different ways to do that. One quick way, we're using archetypes, and another more time-consuming but interesting way, we're using life paths, where you kind of roll and make some choices, and you can develop your character year by year, pretty much. So there's that. There you have the archetypes that you can use. So
yeah, that's I love the art in these books.
Yeah, we wanted to go for something similar to first edition. I love those, kind of looked almost like hand-drawn, you know, very the black and white. We did color because, well, it's nice, but it's kind of in the same style as those. And also the style is also kind of reminiscent of when I did my military service in Sweden back in the 90s. We got we had like field manuals and stuff, and the art of those was very similar to the one we were using here. Not that big full color art you have there, but the other the smaller, the kind of line art style, that style is very much in the vein of kind of looks like an old military manual to me. So that's also kind of nice. Absolutely. There's the I think skills chapter.
Skills and specialties,
Specialties, yeah.
And then combat and damage
is obviously a fairly important part of this game. It's certainly not all about combat, but it's definitely a part of the game that it tends to be front and center quite a lot. So this is probably, I mean, we're trying to go for, it's not super detailed, super crunchy, but we want to have an authentic feel. So it's probably the most crunchy Year Zero engine system that we have done. But we still wanted to run pretty quickly and be fairly streamlined and not get too stuck in details, because we don't feel that it's not really where we want to go, and we don't feel it kind of helps the game to get into every single detail. We just want, but we do want the overall feel and the overall results of the rules to feel authentic and reasonably plausible. I'm not going to use the word realistic, because I think that's very hard to do in an RPG. So, but we could emulate something that feels true more than than it actually being an realistic and detailed representation. So yeah, that's pretty much what the goal of the system is.
Jonathan actually says, I have I think it's the Kickstarter exclusive ammo box set, and it's amazing. The game does get incredibly crunchy in combat. There's a lot to take into account.
It's true. There, like I mentioned, this is definitely the most crunchy system that we have done. Yeah, and that's kind of there. You do want, I mean, this is the kind of game where making choices, like exactly what type of weapons you have, armor, all of that needs to matter. So choices that you make in combat, and they need to make sense, and they need to matter. It's not the kind of game where any rifle is the same as the other one. This one needs to kind of make those choices make a difference. So yeah, there is quite a bit of crunch there to dig into.
You even have vehicle combat in this.
Right. Yeah, that's also a big part of the game. Vehicles will be a part of it. Yep. And then you have the gear chapter, which is gear is a thing.
Now, there is a separate product if folks would like. There's a weapon card deck that that is a separate product in this core launch.
That's true.
But yeah, we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Sorry. Oh my
So
gosh!
basically, you have fairly sizable weapons and vehicle chapter with a lot of stuff.
Word.
You know, we don't want to go too deep into that rabbit hole because there's no end there.
Right?
So, but still, we want to give a fairly decent selection. There's always discussions on what to choose, what to include, what not to include. That we omitted some things, and but
Oh my word!
there could always be more or other choices and so on. But we figured this is a fair selection that should be useful for most games. Then I know already that maybe we'll get to that, but we're doing third party. We're doing a Free League workshop community content, and I already
Right.
know that creators have started to produce things like manuals for more vehicles and weapons as community content, which is great. And that's if we want to dig in deeper into that, there's stuff to find on the Free League workshop.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see the response to that already early on, even before like the physical products, were released.
We
It
decided
was
to
cool.
open up Free League Workshop before the launch of the game because we figured backers have the PDF already, so why not let them start creating? So we did this. I think in the summer we launched that, and there's already a bunch of stuff there.
Very cool. So yeah, you've got some military vehicles. Looks like you got U.S. vehicles, Soviet vehicles.
Yep.
Swedish military vehicles.
Yep.
That's great. Look at all that. Polish military vehicles, other military vehicles. How hard was it to kind of get to research all of this?
Oh,
Because, just one military, research is quite a bit. I can't imagine having to research multiple countries' militaries.
It's a bunch of research done there. Most of it definitely by Chris Keeling, who I mentioned, our military consultant. He'd done a fantastic job on not only on the gear but he did most of all of that research, and of course then there is a matter of getting it translated into game terms. That was a process that we went through, but yeah, his help was really invaluable to get things right when it comes to gear.
And then you've got home base here, facilities, construction, and travel. A whole chapter on travel.
The travel, beside the combat rules, I think the travel rules are the other core ingredient of the game. So basically, the travel chapter includes, it's kind of like a hex crawl, but it also includes like foraging, scrounging for scraps, hunting for food, running encounters, making camp. It's really goes through all of that and exactly how to run. So you can basically run the game using the travel rules and the encounter rules as is. It will pretty much be a no prep game if you run it like that.
And you've got the backer page on the back.
Yeah, there's I think on the inside cover of each book. So there's get all of the backer names.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, so that was all the contents in the box set, which you can see is pretty. Do we have a suggested retail price for that box set, Tomas?
Actually, I believe it's $59.99. So it's a fairly it's a little bit higher than most of our core games, but considering there's a lot of stuff in there compared to just a book, for example. We still feel that's a pretty good price for all the stuff that's included.
Yeah, that's like I said, as soon as you pick up the box, you can definitely tell there's a lot of content in here. And then I mentioned the weapons and card deck previously. Is this just what can you?
It's basically just the weapons of the game that are on cards, so you can hand them out and keep them on the table if you like. So basically, but the information is the same as in the book.
Okay, just kind of quick reference, so then that way folks can have them. If you're a GM, you can just kind of pass it over to your players. Oop.
Exactly.
All right, let's see here. And then we have the last item. So we have a referee screen,
Yep.
which, like all of our GM screens, is just there. I mean, look at the art on that. It's beautiful, beautiful. And then on the back side, just a whole bunch of charts.
Yep.
For quick reference.
Yep. So basically, you should have most of the charts you need all compiled there, so you don't have to flip through the book the whole time.
Just great. What's the GM? What do you know what the referee screen retails for?
Actually, I would have to look it up. I don't. I believe it should be. Oh no. Right. I think it's $24.99, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I think so. Did we lose you?
No. I'm back. I just didn't want to. I didn't want you to see me messing with all the settings behind the screen, behind the.
I see.
So yeah, I had to kind of turn a couple things off and on here.
Sure, no
yeah, no, it's exciting. This is just the start for this line, and we've got a lot of plans for more Twilight 2000 content, which is exciting to see, and not that there's plenty to play here right now already. That's crazy to see. Let's get to some of the questions in the comments, though. Will it be licensed in Spanish?
Maybe, yeah. I don't think it's quite decided yet, but we are licensing it into several other languages. So it's I would say it's likely, yeah.
Very good, very good. Icestern asks, is this a game that can be played GM-less with multiple players?
GM-less, yeah, I guess so. I mean, since there is a solo mode, I guess you could play it solo with friends. I mean, with using the system for solo play, but in a group. So in that sense, you could play GM-less. It's not described in detail how to do that, but just using the solo system, there is nothing to stop you from doing that in a group. So yeah, I guess that would work.
Nice. Matt asks, "What's next?" But we talked about that previously. But we've got a couple expansions already written.
Urban Operations and then Hostile Waters, which is the second one, and I think probably each of those expansions will be also a boxed set, but a smaller one with some more battle maps, a new travel map, new counters, probably a book, obviously, and some things. So that's what it looks like we'll be doing.
Will those be about the size of the Alien cinematic scenario?
Right. Yeah, kind of the same size, but half the thickness. I've always enjoyed like game sets that are not just. I mean, I have nothing in books. I love books, but you know, for role-playing games, I love having those little sets where you get a little bit more than just a book.
Yeah, I totally agree. Any further update on the release date for Black Madonna? I know folks are that was part of that was a stretch goal, right?
About that was a stretch goal in the Kickstarter. A new version of the Black Madonna, which is another classic early first edition module, and the remake is written by the same person who wrote the original, which is Frank Frey, and it's in progress. He's getting some help from Chris Keeling. They're the military consultant, so the two of them are doing it together. I think there were some delays on that, and we're giving Frank and Chris time to do it, so it's not going to be super fast. I can't really say a release date at this point. It's really up to them, and we're not pushing them too hard. So it's taking a bit of time, but it will get there. And I think I'm really gonna enjoy it when it comes out. But it's not gonna come. It's not gonna be the first or second module that is released, because those other two will be out before Black Madonna, I believe.
The Event Age role-playing games gamers asks, I keep hearing urban operations being teased. Any more details? Can you give any other details?
And we haven't done any official announcement yet, but we have talked about it. So I mean, when we do that, there's going to be more details, obviously. But generally, what it's an expansion that will have a bunch of new factions, a bunch of scenario sites. Like we have 4 of them in the core set, but you will have, I think, 5 more, and with maps and NPCs and story hooks and events and everything. And they will, since this is urban operations, all of those scenario sites will be set in a city environment. You will also have something we call plots, which is basically a bit longer story arcs, or that something that it takes time, that kind of develops over a bit of a longer time, that you can incorporate into your game, and they will be included there. Yeah, and like I mentioned, more maps, counters, some more specific rules, new encounters, probably new encounter cards. You can replace or expand the encounter deck with new cards that are more city specific. So yeah, that's kind of what we're aiming to do for that one. And hopefully we should be able to officially kind of announce it and show more, possibly before the end of the year or early next year. And we'll plan to release it during next year.
Excellent. Yeah, because someone was let's say CMDR Strain says, so any release date tease and for the operating they just want to know more, Thomas. They just want to know.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully around the middle of next year it should be released. That's what we're aiming for.
Will we see vehicle and arms guides like we saw in first edition?
Maybe it's not. I mean, in the initial, range of modules that we're planning, we're more focusing on content to play. I mean, scenario sites and these kind of content type modules. But definitely, it's certainly possible that we'll do more of the kind of gear manuals down the line. But also, like I mentioned, there's already stuff being done on the Free League Workshop at Drive-Thru-RPG. You can also and great stuff, really competent, good stuff being done on weapons and vehicles there. So if we want more of that, I think in the short term, it's probably Free League Workshop is the best place to go. Also, in the core game, there's a lot of conversion rules. Also, so if you want to convert, if you have manuals from earlier editions of the game, or even just you can convert just by actual real world vehicles and weapons. If you just know their basic specifications, you can fairly easily turn them into game stats using the guidelines that are given in the core game.
Anything about close quarters combat, like inside buildings? Is that something that must be something they could probably convert from earlier materials?
For close combat, I mean, close quarters combat, sure. I mean, that is already doable and possible to play in using the rules of the game, obviously. As for going more specifically into that, I think there is something on that in urban operations, just kind of how it says tactics and so on. So I think there's more about that in that expansion, I think.
Eistern actually has a good question, and this is something that I've noticed a lot. It's just coming back from being at home all this time while the world was dealing with COVID and everything. People are more interested in virtual tabletop. We talked about it. I was just at a convention last weekend. A lot of folks were talking about playing role-playing games online and using virtual tabletop. Eistern asks, will this be licensed for Foundry virtual tabletop?
For Foundry, yeah, it's actually already done. I mean, I think backers already have access to it, and we will be releasing it for the general public as a Foundry module and system soon. I believe it's going live on the 16th, just as like the full game. So nice. On the 16th, you should be able to get in as a Foundry module with all of the content included.
And I will say, whenever I mentioned that we had Foundry modules available for our games, 90% of the folks were like, "Oh my God, I love Foundry. Foundry's great." So it's really nice to see and hear that feedback that folks love the Foundry module. Dennis says the Foundry module is tight. Nice. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, we do support other platforms as well, but for Twilight, we have the Foundry module is what we have so far, but we are not ruling out modules on other platforms as well. It's just that we, one thing at a time.
Sure, we only have so much resources to focus on. All right, I'm excited, Tomas, to see this finally in the wild and at stores. I know there's a lot of stores. Folks were really excited to see a new edition of this game at the big conventions that we were at this year, and we'll be at PAX Unplugged. We'll have copies of that available at PAX Unplugged. But I'm going to remind folks that if you are interested in picking up a copy of this new box set, to contact your friendly local game store and just let them know that you're interested, and they can order it and bring it into their store. And maybe if you're interested, somebody else is interested as well. So that would be great to see more on more shelves. Is there anything else you'd like to tell folks before we sign off and conclude this core product, Twilight 2000 core product overview episode?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered most of it. Right. Yeah, I'm happy.
Oh, look at this! Look, all the love in this chat. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eistern. Matthew, thank you. ARPG, thank you as well. We greatly appreciate all the love and support. And if you're like I said, if you're pleased with everything that you've seen and would like to, you can order it from our web store. I put the link in the description of this video, but we'd love to have you contact your friendly local game store and have them stock it as well. So thanks so much to everybody. If you are a fan of this product, please hit that like button down below. That'll help this video get noticed in the analytics, and hopefully more people will come and discover this awesome game that Tomas and the team has put a lot of love and work into. Thank you everyone for joining us. This was super fun. We'll see you next time. Bye now.
Goodbye.